At night, the city is full of people with unusual jobs. Mine is one of them. I am a delivery man. Anytime, any place. If you're paying me, I bring it to you. But still, until that one night, I couldn't say any of this for certain. Why not? Was I unsure of myself? Of course not. Was I unclear about my job? No way. I know exactly who I am and what I was doing. But that night, I learned that something I needed to actually say this was missing. The embassy building was hard to find. By the time I located it, I was behind schedule by 2 hours.
Yes. Sorry, I lost.
I didn't know it then, but this was the least of my problems that night.
Over here. You said you lost. Lost what?
No, I lost. That's why I'm late.
I see.
You're working here so late tonight. I surprised.
You surprised who?
No, I surprised.
Okay, but who?
Sorry, what do you mean?
I think I'm not sure. Sorry. This report, it has to be ready in the morning for my boss, and I am hours behind the schedule.
You're gonna work here all night?
Are you gonna work here all night?
No, I have many deliveries. You know, miss, one day when I finished my university, I want to work in such an important government job like you do.
I remember my student days. Stress-free, hanging out with my friends. What are you studying?
I studying political science.
What about it?
Excuse me?
Never mind.
Yes, my school very nice. Campus charming and clean. The facilities excellent. And my professors, all experienced and knowledgeable. One prof, an advisor at the United Nations.
Your prof is? That's interesting. Can he get me a new job?
No, he retired.
Wait, so he used to work at the UN or still does?
No, he my prof now.
You know, I have this strange feeling that something is missing.
You can trust me, miss. Everything's there.
That's not what I mean. The package is fine. It's something else.
I sorry, miss. I don't understand. What's the problem with my delivery?
Your delivery is fine. I don't know. I'm confused.
But why are you confused? I the one who confused. You keep repeating the words I say.
Actually, I keep repeating the words that you don't say.
When I was a young boy, I dreamed of one day becoming a great police detective, solving mysteries, catching the bad guys, finding things that had disappeared. Even though I became an English instructor instead, that dream has never really left me. In some ways, I still get to solve mysteries every day. Linguistic mysteries. You see, English learners often create strange grammar structures in order to express themselves. They may add a phrase or a word they don't need. Or in some cases, what you've just witnessed is one of them, they may leave out of a sentence words that should be in it. I'm Teacher Paul, and in this series we're investigating the mysteries of English grammar and syntax. and the weirdness that arises when learning it. And in this episode, we'll play linguistic detective. We'll investigate deep into the shadows of syntax and grammar and try to find out what happened to our delivery guy. Based on the evidence so far, my early suspicion is that something called a copula has gone missing. The question is, why?
And then I made English Weirdness. My delivery customer very confused. She told my boss, and now he seems very angry. And maybe I'm gonna lose my job. Can you help me, please?
Gosh, Osama, it sounds like you had a real mysterious conversation at the embassy. But I think I know what happened. Therefore, I'm sure I can help you.
Thanks, teacher. But
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay, Osama, let's break it down. Let's go back to what you said to Miss Maria at the embassy and examine the evidence. Tell me about this sentence grammar, the basics.
well, you taught me that every clause needs a subject and a verb, at least. And my sentence has both. I is the subject, and surprised is my verb. I have no object, but sometimes after the verb, we don't need one. This a complete clause, so I don't know why Miss Marie is so confused.
That's a pretty good breakdown, Osama. But I'm sorry to tell you, in this sentence, what you think is a verb is actually not functioning as a verb.
But teacher, with all due respect, surprised, clearly a past tense verb.
Well, it can be a past tense verb, sometimes. But sometimes it functions as an adjective too.
The same word? Oh my. English very weird.
Let me ask you this. You meant to describe your feelings, didn't you?
Correct, teacher. I the one who surprised. It's my feeling.
Here's the problem then. If it were a verb, we would expect to find an object after it, something to receive the surprise. Something like, I surprised Maria. In your sentence, because you meant it to describe the subject, in this case you, the word surprised is not functioning as a verb.
I see, teacher. So my word surprised, not a verb.
And if it's not a verb and not a direct object, what the hell is it?
Teacher, I'm not sure. It's very mysterious.
Sometimes we need a word or phrase that provides additional information about the subject and complete the meaning of the sentence. We might want an adjective, another noun or noun phrase, a prepositional phrase, or even an adverb or adverbial phrase. We call this part that comes after a verb the subject complement.
I sorry, teacher. I still very confused.
You've actually just provided a nice example. You just said, I still very confused. This is the same grammar structure that you use when you spoke to Miss Maria at the embassy. Same grammar, same weirdness.
You mean here, confused, also not a verb? You mean this a subject complement?
It is. If it were a verb, you'd expect to find an object after it. And we don't.
You're right. Thank you, teacher. I think I understand subject complements now. They complete the subject's meaning.
That's right. But this has given us new evidence to process. Compare these three sentences. In the first one, weirdness is clearly the thing you made, the direct object that results from or receives the verb's action. that verb is transitive and requires a direct object in order to complete its meaning. In the second sentence, there is no object, and there doesn't appear to be a need for one. The idea is complete without it. I understand is simply what I do. The verb understand is intransitive here. It doesn't need an object to be a complete idea. Now, we'll discuss verb transitivity in a later episode. For now, let's focus our investigation on the third example.
Angry, an adjective.
Exactly right, Osama. What else do you notice?
Teacher, this word seems. It's an action. I don't think so, but it's a verb.
Nice observation, Osama. It is our verb, but it is not really an action. And angry is not an object, but rather an adjective. This verb is neither transitive nor intransitive. You see, when we want to connect a subject to its complement, we don't want a transitive or intransitive verb. We need a special type of verb to link them, and seems is one of them. It belongs to this special category of English verbs.
Teacher, please explain. The suspense killing me.
The type of verb we're missing is called a copula. Copulas connect or link subjects to their complements. And copulas are important because without them, you might confuse the complement with the main verb, as you did with surprised.
Guilty as charged.
Right. For instance, because surprised and confused can be used as verbs or complements, without a copula, you're left with what looks like a subject and a verb, an incomplete meaning that might make you expect to hear an object next. For example, I lost the package.
That's why Miss Maria said, you lost what? She thought lost, the past tense verb, so she expected an object to follow. But I meant it like a compliment, an adjective giving information about the subject.
Okay, so by now it's evident that copulas connect or link the subject to its complement, right?
Yes, it's evident.
So, if we want to signal that what looks like a verb is not a verb, but rather a complement, we need to link it to the subject in a special way.
With a copula.
Check.
Teacher, check what?
Never mind, Osama.
I thought I had seen everything, but until Teacher Paul explained copulas that night, I never even knew my copulas had been missing. The next step was to find out why the copulas were missing, and more importantly, what the hell was I going to do about it?
I have never heard of this type of verb before. A copula?
Well, this is all really just fancy teacher talk, linguistic jargon. Although, knowing these terms does help us discuss grammar. What is really important for you is knowing how to use copulas.
Okay, teacher. So we need to connect subjects with complements using a copula. But surely, we don't actually use the word copula in a sentence. So, we need to know other words beside the word seems.
That's right. And the good news is that in English, there are only a few copulas to learn. Here's a basic list of the most common ones.
Teacher, there seems to be a mystery word covered.
Osama, it's time for me to confess something. Ever since we began this investigation, I've had our grammar under surveillance. I've been tracking the number of times I used a certain copula and the number of times you omitted or didn't use it. And as you can see, there's quite a difference.
Yallah. Good heavens, teacher. What this missing mystery word I'm missing?
Osama, I think we've identified the victim of this crime. And it's a copula. It's actually the most commonly used copula, and perhaps most important of all. And it's the one that has disappeared from your English. The victim of this crime is your be verbs. Don't worry, Osama. There's still a chance to rescue our victim.
Yes, teacher. We must rescue this victim and bring it back.
But to do so, we first need to understand the special properties of this special copula. For instance, the be verb is the only copula that can connect a subject directly to an adverb of location. Grammatically speaking, the be verb expresses very little meaning of its own. It really acts more like an equal sign does in math. The be verb also has another function we need to resolve. Consider the following evidence. These sentences all share the same grammar structure.
Teacher, this called present progressive.
You mean this is called.
Thank you. Yes, this is called present progressive. Some people and grammar books call it present continuous, but it is the same thing.
Good. And in these examples, the verb is in its progressive form. And how do we make this?
We use the base form of the verb plus ing.
Good. And you know, sometimes the name of a grammar contains a clue as to how to remember the structure. I call this the name-form-use connection. Now, this is not a strict rule, but it is a useful way to understand and remember these structures.
Name-form-use connection. This is intriguing.
Well, this is the grammar's name, and it suggests that the structure or form also has two parts. And when we use it in an example, we need two words. This word, progressive, suggests we need a verb in progressive form, right?
That's right.
Then what does this word, present, suggest to us, Osama?
Well, it suggests that we need a word in a present tense, but verbs express tense. And we already have a verb, teacher.
Maybe we need another one. After all, regardless of the tense of our idea here, we don't want to change the ing form of the main verb.
Of course, teacher. We need the be verb to connect the subject to the verb phrase and express the tense because our main verb can, while it is in a progressive form.
Now you've got it.
I understand perfectly now, teacher. The mystery is solved and the case is closed.
I like the confidence, Osama. But let's not celebrate and swagger around like heroes just yet.
You mean there is more to this mystery?
I'm afraid so. You now know what type of words have been missing from your English, and that's good. But we have not yet identified the perpetrator.
Yes, we don't know why my be verbs disappeared in the first place. Were they kidnapped?
Not exactly, Osama. I think I've ID'd the perpetrator. It's called linguistic interference.
Teacher, interference? From who?
Not who, Osama, what. You see, when we're learning a second language, the underlying grammar structures of our first language, or L1, rise up from our memory and mix in with those of our second. They interfere with our new language usage.
That seems problematic.
Indeed it is, Osama. Good use of a copula and adjective, by the way.
Thank you.
But interference is also perfectly natural. After all, your first language, in your case Arabic, is built deeply into your memory. So it's no surprise that your thinking wants to use the grammar you're most familiar with. even when you use your second language. Of course, this can be confusing.
Indeed it is, teacher.
Interference is a little like playing soccer using the rules of another sport. Tell me, Osama, in Arabic, do you need to use a copula to connect a subject to its complement?
Come to think of it, teacher, we don't. Arabic requires no linking verb. We can easily say, my boss angry, or teacher Paul, I get detected.
And so you see, this linguistic interference is the perp here. It's responsible for making your be verb copulas disappear.
So this means I have been using Arabic grammar structure to speak English. I have been speaking English with no copulas.
You've got it, Osama. Now the case is closed.
A classic case of linguistic interference. No wonder Miss Maria at the embassy was confused.
Don't worry, Osama. Interference always happens when we learn a new language, or even a new job. It happens to me too. Just like sometimes your Arabic interferes with your English, sometimes my dream of being a police detective interferes with my actual job of being an English teacher.
Well, Teacher Paul, I'm glad, because sometimes you need to solve English mysteries.
Well, my point is, it's perfectly normal for you to experience interference, Osama.
It may be normal, Teacher Paul, but I don't want to be normal. I want to be understandable. Moreover, because I want to become a politician and make the world a more peaceful place, I must become a great communicator.
That's a wonderful dream, Osama, and I have no doubt you'll achieve it. Just remember your copulas.
I will, Teacher Paul. There's one more thing, teacher. Earlier you said, grammatically speaking, the be verb has little meaning of its own. Is there another way to consider the be verb in which it does have a lot of meaning?
Well, philosophically speaking, this little word might be the most important verb of all. For centuries, great thinkers from all cultures have debated what it means for humans to be or to exist, haven't they, Osama?
Indeed, teacher, existence is mysterious.
So maybe this little copula be verb actually expresses an awful lot.
Yes, it is evident that it does.
Okay, Osama. Let's summarize.
To be, not to be. They say that's the question. But if you ask me, there was no doubt about it. You can't speak clear English without be verbs and other copulas. You see, I had to admit though, learning that my copulas had been missing the whole time really made me think about my life. It made me wonder, what else might be missing? I explained to Miss Maria how Teacher Paul helped me find my missing copulas, and I apologized for making English weirdness. She told me that she also sometimes experienced interference from her native Spanish, and I appreciated her kindness. But kindness doesn't pay the bills, and my delivery job wasn't finished.
Nonetheless, I am terribly sorry, Miss Maria. Last time, my English was so weird.
That's okay, Osama. Weirdness is cool.
What is it?
Something is missing.
Again?
Yes, this is not what I asked for. There is no pepperoni.